Senate Majority Leader Paul Gazelka now joins me in the studio to provide greater detail on the Senate GOP Vision 2020 agenda. Thanks for stopping by.
Good to be here again.
This state is in a good position right now with a full financial reserve account in place and also a projected budget surplus of over $1 billion. Should taxpayers expect tax proposals or tax relief proposals in the coming session, and who would benefit?
Yes, they should. The last 3 years, some of our policies, the Senate Republicans have, I think, worked, and so now we have a surplus. We fully funded our budget last year, education, HHS, et cetera. Everything was fully funded. Our reserves are right up at the top. They've never, we hit the ceiling. We have as much as we need there. What do you do with the rest? Some people want to spend it. I say we should give it back. So a couple of things that we're looking at. One is fully exempting Social Security income. That's something that Minnesota is one of a few states that does that. Maybe we could just get rid of that one. Another one is for farmers. It's called Section 179. It's when they purchase farm equipment. We want that to line up with the federal government and their tax law. That would save them some taxes as well. So those are a couple ideas. There's other things we're talking about, but those are two.
Let's turn to bonding, because this will be a bonding year, and that's also top of mind. Governor Walz has put together a package of proposals that would spend about $2 billion. You've indicated a willingness to go about half that far. What bonding projects will be priorities? What kinds of projects will be priorities for your caucus in the coming session?
Yeah, so first of all, it's important that people know that I'm saying we should have a bonding bill. There's many of negotiations where one side says we're not going to do any bonding bill. And so we're publicly saying we think it's good for Minnesota to do a bonding bill. Our forecast says that without having to pay any more interest above what we normally predicted, it would be $755 million. So that's kind of the bottom number. Our last two bonding bills have both been under $1 billion, but right around that number. And so that's the first thing, is what is the final number going to be? But we're openly talking about, let's all figure out how to do a bonding bill. And then what we want to focus on is wastewater infrastructure will be a big one. Higher education, their buildings need upkeep. Things, roads and bridges, those are the key things that we want to do. Focus on the main things that everybody benefits from. Then the size of the bonding bill isn't as important as what we focus on.
So focusing on wastewater, higher education, roads and bridges.
Yeah, those would be
those three areas.
Yeah.
Okay, your caucus has been very active in looking for ways to lower the cost of health care. And that issue is something voters care deeply about. What are some goals in the coming session to tackle both access and cost of health care?
So first of all, cost. We have been making great progress in the last 3 years. We did something called reinsurance, which stabilized the market, brought more competition in, and right now Minnesota's rates are cheaper than anywhere else in the country. So it's really good news, but that doesn't mean your work is done. You should keep working towards that. So one of the things that we're going to work on is drug reimportation. Why can't you go to your pharmacy and get prescription drug costs like what you do in Canada? So that's the big one that we're rolling out right now. There'll be other things as well, but that's the one that comes top of mind.
Okay. There will be a supplemental budget also this session. And are there any areas specifically where state spending should increase, whether it be education or veterans or farmers or childcare? Where should maybe some of these excess dollars go? Where is there still need?
First of all, we're not saying that there will be a supplemental budget. We'll have to have a conversation about that. Most of that $1 billion plus surplus is what we call one-time money. It's there now, but it won't be there 4 years from now. And so we'll have to look at that very prudently. One of the one-time dollars that I'm open to is if we haven't fully taken care of safe schools, making sure their buildings are safe, that would be one of the things that for one-time money I might be open to, but we're not automatically saying just because we have a surplus means we want to spend more money. We're talking about giving it back to the taxpayer.
Now, I did read in the press release, though, that tackling the disparity gap in Minnesota would be something that you would look at. Do you have thoughts on that?
Yeah, last year we brought up the fact that we thought we should do opportunity scholarships, provide more ways for the disadvantaged to find more directions they can go to get a good education. Our disparity in Minnesota, racial disparity for education, is lower than anywhere else in the country. So the disparity is great in Minnesota between white and, say, black, but you take that same black population in other urban areas around the country, and we're not doing well against them either. And so I say it's the definition of insanity. If you keep doing the same thing, you're going to keep getting the same results. We have to be willing to try things like the Opportunity Scholarship. There's a program called ACE in Texas where they pay teachers more to be in front of students in very difficult districts. So we have to explore things that are different than what we've been doing, and I'll continue to advocate for that.
There has been a spike in violent crime in Minneapolis and St. Paul of late. Addressing the uptick in violence is a priority for your caucus. What types of proposals would be included in lowering the incidence of violent crime, especially in Minneapolis, St. Paul?
So we know it's a complex problem, but it is rising, and so we just say it's unacceptable. One of the things that we're going to do, in fact, we're doing a hearing on this up in Hibbing within the next week on public safety issues, and one of them is being tougher on felons that have a gun. They're not supposed to have a gun. If they've got a gun and they're a felon, the odds of them committing a crime are going to go way up. And so we want to be, that's an area that we want to explore to actually be much tougher in that area on sentencing.
Okay, anything else at this point on that topic?
No, not at this point.
Not at this point. Okay. Recently, both the Energy Chair, David Osmek, was on the program, and the bill's author, Senator David Senjem, talking about clean energy first. What are the benefits for the state by setting up a preference for clean energy over the traditional ways that we have powered this state?
So there's been a lot of conversation about 100% renewable by 2050 or whatever, and I've always said that's not the way we should be going. Last year we had the polar vortex in February. Our 30% renewable energy could only produce 5% of the energy we needed. So if you just have renewable, that's a problem. And so we're saying let's focus on clean energy that's affordable and reliable. So it includes renewable energy, but it also includes the new technology, nuclear. It includes clean coal out from North Dakota. They're being able to capture all of the CO2. I mean, we have different technology today. We should be using the resources that come from water. I mean, we should look everywhere. If the goal is about reducing the carbon footprint, it doesn't have to just be renewable. So we're going to emphasize all of the above. Let's use technology today and move in that direction.
And finally, before we go, there have been lots of problems with the Department of Human Services, lots of headlines, overpayments to tribes and counties. The legislative auditor issued a report recently pointing to, quote, troubling dysfunction. Your caucus has said that you're looking at oversight and accountability measures. What does that entail?
Well, first of all, it's an area I hope that the governor leans in with us. We did work together to fix MNLARS, our license and registration services. That was an area that we had talked about for probably 6 years. This governor agreed to have an independent third party look at it, and we ended up going the direction that we talked about. I think DHS, Department of Health and Human Services, is even worse. It's many problems, and one of the things that we are exploring is how do we divide it up so that there's better oversight of some of these areas. I mean, there's so many areas for decades that have been a problem. So we're asking the governor to lean in with us. We will put forward proposals for this session, and I'm hoping we can get them done.
Senate Majority Leader Paul Gazelka, thank you.
It's good to be here again.